So as Joan said, I'm new to Tucson and new to my position. I love this city, and I hope that while you're here in Tucson, you get to step out, run the tracks, do a little swim if you need to. But we have a wonderful space to live in this city, and please know that we want your attendance at this conference, but step outside when you can. That 5 o'clock reception out on the patio with the mountain views and the water running will be a really great treat for you. I hope the weather holds. It usually does in Tucson, but it's not perfect today on the forecast. But anyway, we're going to hope that it holds for us. As Joan says, I'm the director of the Norton School. It's the John and Doris Norton School of Family and Consumer Sciences. In our school, we have the Terry Lundgren Center for Retailing. It's an incredible thing, and I will talk a bit more about that in a second. We also have the Take Charge America Institute. We have the Francis McClellan Institute for Families. And in each one of those, we reach out to students through research that our faculty are doing. Each and every day, I'm so impressed by the professionalism of our students, the commitment of our staff, and the brain power of our faculty. It's truly an amazing place to be associated, and I'm humbled by the surroundings that I'm in. We're in a fabulous building, and I just can't say enough fabulous things about it. So the first person on our agenda today is someone that he doesn't really need a formal introduction. He is the chairman and CEO of Macy's, Inc. He is a University of Arizona graduate. We are excited and proud of him for all of the visionary leadership that he has taken for the retail industry. We're also very appreciative of his kind heart. Without Terry, we would not have the Lundgren Center and be in the position that we are to provide the thought leadership for students for the retailing industry. Please, without further ado, please welcome Terry Lundgren to the podium.
Thank you, Jana, very much, and thanks for your leadership here and helping us create this fantastic conference. I'm very proud of the fact that, and this is, people are still streaming in, but we've had to go to larger quarters here because this is the largest attendance we've ever had. It keeps on building every year, and what I particularly love about this audience is that it's a great combination of business leaders from our industry and all those fields that touch our industry, maybe not direct retail, but all the fields that touch the retail industry and support the retail industry. And but it's combined with the students. And I don't know of any other conference that has the same makeup of an audience that we have here. And the students, for those of you who were not at the dinner last night to get a chance to meet some of them, I just encourage you to do that. I encourage you to take the time and to meet them and just to see what an impressive group of young men and women we have at the University of Arizona who are either studying retail at our center or are in another college on campus and interested in our industry. And they're a very impressive group, and certainly a major goal of ours is to supply our industry with the talent of the future. That's really the vision for our center. It's really about that, and while, of course, I'm very selfish about making sure we get a big chunk of those at Macy's and Bloomingdale's, and now Blue Mercury eventually too, I'm really I'm most interested in seeing these young, talented people find careers in our industry. And I'm so passionate about our industry, and I believe we deserve the best talent in America to be our future leaders, and they're right here on this campus, and so I would encourage you to take advantage as my own company is attempting to do. So this is our 19th, believe it or not, Global Retail Conference. Seems like a long time, and so again, thanks to Jana here for leading the way, and particular thanks to Joan because she has stepped in, as she said, interim, and we're working her to death in her little sort of part-time interim role. probably 65 hours a week or something like that. But she's done a great job of really helping us not only just get things organized, including today, but helping us think about the future and where we can go from here. So thanks for being here, everybody. I've got an impressive group of speakers that are going to follow me, and I think all of us are going to learn quite a bit about innovation in our industry and what's next for all of us. My topic is stores are the new black. Do I have to change these myself? Are they on? See, I can't see it on my screen. Okay, it's down here. Okay, gotcha. That's because I got this big block thing here. I can't see. Now, if I go here, I can see. All right, good. Because I can't do two things at once, and I talk with my hands generally anyway, so I couldn't use the clicker device. But this is kind of a newer subject for me, because if you would have asked me 5 years ago, do I have too many stores? You know, at Macy's, not at Bloomingdale's, because we only have 37 Bloomingdale stores. But we have 775 Macy's stores, and we have closed more than we've opened, certainly in the last 5 years. But I would have had a different answer 5 years ago than I have today, and that's what I'm going to try to explain today when I talk about this subject of stores are actually in vogue, and stores indeed are the new black. So I've spoken in the past, either here or elsewhere, about how the consumer has clearly changed in a rather dramatic way in the last 5 years. And my own company has moved from what would have been called a traditional department store to an omnichannel retailer. And we keep on moving. That path is not complete, and we will continue to move. And what we've learned over the last 5 years will be important, but it's really setting the baseline for what will happen in the next 5. And I do believe that this comment about stores being the new black will impact pure play retailers, for those of you who are. And not everybody will open stores. Not every pure play retailer will open stores. But I predict that the ones who will grow and sustain a profitable stream in the future will probably have a combination of stores and online. It will not just be one or the other. So, but to start, I want to give you just a quick overview of some of the things that's happened in the last 5 years. So I talk about our business in series of 5-year segments, and I try to be like the Chinese government, who has a 7-year plan. Well, we have sort of a 5-year plan at Macy's Inc., and we think, because we feel like we're almost as big as the Chinese government. So we got to make sure we just bring that down, so everybody can participate and be part of it. But so this last year was our 5th consecutive year of comp store sales growth, and in the last 5 years we've grown by $5 billion in sales, which we feel really, really good about. And it's been, and obviously all of us know this has not been in a robust economic period that's happened. And then tons of competition, new competition, as well as what's been getting stronger in certain places, competition. And I think important to say is that it's the 6th year in a row that we've had double-digit earnings per share growth. Because you can have just top-line growth only, or in fact you can have bottom-line growth. But I really think that consumers are voting for you if you have top-line growth, but obviously your shareholders are voting for you if you have bottom line. So the fact that we've had both is for us important. 14% EBITDA is an elusive number to achieve in the department store industry, so elusive that there isn't anybody except for us at this point who has achieved it, and we feel really good. And the crazy thing that I did 10 years ago in 2005 when we acquired the May company was I told Walt, because everybody is all skeptical and worried about this. I was a little nervous myself. I was like, do I really believe that this is going to work? This is a big deal. And that was 10 years ago, and I said, but don't worry, because we're going to achieve 14% EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization, in 10 years. And I said that in 2005, so that would happen this year. And I don't know what compelled me to say it other than I was, trying to convince people that this is a good idea. But the good news is it was sort of became an internal measurement for us to measure our progress along the way, and we kept on putting that goal out there to achieve. Good news is we achieved it this last year, so we achieved it in 9 years instead of 10. So I've got that monkey off my back. At least that one. I got several other issues and challenges that I've got. But we feel really, really good about doing that, particularly for a company our size, which is now $28 billion in revenue last year. To be able to have that kind of earnings power along with it was important. And then, of course, because of that, our market capitalization, the value of our company, has grown by $18 billion in that same period of time for the last 5 years. And total shareholder return has been just about 700% in that time too. So those are sort of some backgrounds about what's kind of happened. I think I have to set that out there to at least say, okay, so now what I'm going to say, it's not just a bunch of hocus pocus. It's we actually have some results to have gone along with some of the strategy. And so that's kind of setting the bar there, if you will. But our company in that period of time has changed just dramatically, and I don't think that's going to change. And I mean, I don't think it's going to change. That we're going to keep on changing. And I had people in my own organization say to me, why do we have to keep on doing new stuff? Things are going fine. Why don't you just leave it alone? We have all these continuous reorganizations and reinventions in our company. Can't you just let it go for a year? Can we just not have a February 1st announcement this year? And because our fiscal year ends at the end of January, so it's like everybody's waiting. What's he going to say for the beginning of February? What's it this time? And the answer is, we'll stop changing when our consumers and customers stop changing. And so I just don't think that's in the near future. I think the evolution that we have seen in the last 5 years, and keep in mind, 5 years ago, I talked about this last night. I should have had people raise their hands. But the last 5 years, think about it. 5 years ago, the iPad was launched this month, only 5 years ago. So you think about that, and you think, well, are you kidding me? Wasn't that around 20 years ago? No, it was only around 5. And so you think about, that was a time when everything was getting smaller. All of our mobile devices were getting smaller and smaller, and we're trying to get the smallest possible mobile device at that time, and all of a sudden Steve Jobs says, I got another idea. Let's go big. Let's create the iPad. And so when people say, well, what's going to happen in the next 5 years? You don't know, and I don't either. But we do know it's not going to be the same. So we can imagine, and we can begin to work toward, this vision for the future. But we don't know what's going to happen in the future. We just know it's not going to be this. So lots of time has been spent on thinking about those subjects. In our case, we didn't have all the right answers, but we knew we had to invest in technology. So we completely shifted our spending during this period of time. As I said, we're building far fewer new stores, and there's far fewer shopping mall developments, frankly. So that's been clear. But with all of that money that we're saving on not building all these new stores, 150% of it is going into technology. So that's been the shift, is going, all of the growth in capital expenditures and general expenses is going into technology. And we think that that's what's been giving us a bit of a head start on this whole subject of the omnichannel consumer and where it's going. Here's just a short video just to kind of talk about some of those investments that we've made. So I can spend my hour just talking about each of those 11 innovations, and that is what these are what we invested in just this past year alone, in 2014. There'll be more this year, but I'm just going to say that it's just an example of how you've had to shift your funding of these ideas in a very, very different way to make sure that we stay in front of the customer. And all this innovation is largely around online, mobile, and in-store, but bringing all the technology into the store so the shopping experience becomes one and seamless, and it allows the consumer to decide where she wants to shop or he wants to shop, when and how they choose to shop. Now, our preference is always to get them in the store because it's been clear and it's now been verified that in our case, the consumer who touches us in multiple ways, meaning start the journey on your phone, come in, touch the product, try on the jacket, try on the shoe, have the makeup put on by a professional talking about this looks good on you versus that, that experience, and then actually going back, either buying then or going back and buying it on your desktop. Mobile is growing very quickly, but it's still a small percent of the transactions, more on the desktop and on a tablet device. When that happens, when the consumer touches us 2 or 3 times versus just online or just in store, the value of that customer is 8 times the customer who touches us once. 8 times. So we want her to come into the store. We want her to start, with all the technology, but in the end, we really want this customer to engage in the store, and that's the basis of my theory of the stores being the new black. That experience is what drives loyalty, drives sales, and drives, obviously, the size of the basket, the size of the purchase, 8 times larger than the one who just shops in store or online. In this last year, 2 years ago, we were the 8th largest internet company in America. Today, we're the 7th largest internet company in America. Not everybody knows that. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that the customer is choosing us in all of these ways, and that just happens to be a big part of the equation is just the actual pure online. But honestly, I can't even tell who I should. I don't even know who I should give credit to. Should I give credit? This is just online only. Should I just give credit to the online business, knowing full well that the majority of these customers actually came into the store and touched the product, maybe talked to one of our sales associates, but actually went home and transacted elsewhere? Where does that actual sale belong? And I don't care. I'm agnostic to the whole thing. All I care about is, in the end, she buys or he buys from our company. And I think that's why we have to be thinking about this as a seamless experience for our customers and let them shop when and where and how they choose. We were 8 a year ago. We're 7th this year, and I just see some opportunity. I want to pass Netflix. I really want to pass Netflix because I think they're really good, and I'm after them. There's a digital think tank called L2, and I'll just go through this quickly. But anyway, it was encouraging to us. They only named 2 companies in the digital space genius level after all their analysis and assessments, and we were lucky to be one of them. We were named Mobile Retailer of the Year this past year by the Mobile Commerce Daily, and that's a collection of media inputs that have given us that recognition, and we're very proud of that. And Fast Company, they just recently named us as one of the world's 10 best and most innovative companies in the retail space, but in the world. And that, of course, why I say these things is really mostly important for my employees, because I want my employees to be really proud of this. That's who got us on this map, and that's who made this happen, and I couldn't be more proud of the team that we have. So getting this kind of recognition, we just eat it up, and we constantly are talking to our employees and letting them know what they've accomplished. So here's another a little video about the Idea Lab, which is something that you heard a little bit about in my technology innovation work that we did here. But listen to this, and you get a kind of sense about what we do here to get some of our ideas.
I think the idea came from a very, very simple concept of us as a corporation wanting to adopt more, better, faster, and really saying how can we reinvent the retail effort, especially in the digital space. The process all starts with a challenge. The employees provide ideas. They are then voted on through a social polling widget that we have. The top 3 come into a management Shark Tank where they have 5 minutes to pitch their idea. Based on the outcome of that, we say, go forward, we will invest.
You got an idea, you built it, you tried it, and you found this is what customers would use. That's like super fast.
Yeah.
It then goes into the Idea Lab. Once we have outcome of the Idea Lab, which is a working prototype, and we have real customer experience associated with it, we then make a go, no-go decision as to whether we want to bring it into production or not, and then it moves into our lean development process.
So we took the time frame from this down to this.
Which was like, I would say, like that much.
A great example is image search, where we put a challenge out to our employees and we said, if you had another way of finding product, what would it be? And somebody suggested, well, what if you started using pictures? Everybody has their mobile phone, everybody is taking pictures. Is there another way of being able to use that to actually search for product?
Look at the visual search idea. It has got the tenets of more, better, and faster.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about more, because of the way that the team worked and the dynamics, we were able to get something that would have cost us a certain amount, about 50% less. And here we are iterating over and over and over based on customer feedback to really get the best possible result.
And I think super critical is the notion of the safe harbor. Instead of typically where we have the hierarchical approval chain and we got to get a lot of folks in a room agreeing on the approach, here that small team is empowered and they make decisions so quickly.
It's been a wonderful experience as we've started to roll this out to our employees.
It's amazing to see the changes in members of my team after their time in Macy's labs.
It's given us a chance to drive empowerment to them, to drive engagement with them, to tap into their creativity, to see how they actually want to help us change the business and give them a voice in a way that they've never had before.
This is our office in San Francisco. And we just built a brand new office building there. You know, just to start back there, I'll tell you about the 3 phases in a second, but we moved all of our merchants and our marketing and our planning executives to New York City because we wanted to be near our vendors. And we wanted to be near our creative team who were actually creating merchandise for us at Macy's Merchandising Group. And I was planning on moving all the technology guys and gals that you see here as well. And, and we thought about it and we said, there's a reason why the merchants and planning and marketing people are in New York City, because that's where the talent and market and all of that is there. But the talent that I'm competing for with this group is in Silicon Valley. And so we kept that group there. And it's, I have to tell you, you just saw a few of our people. They are so unbelievably talented and so amazing. And as a result of all that they've accomplished, we've just built them a new building in downtown San Francisco, which you just saw, which I want to work there. I want to move my office from New York to there, because that's like the coolest place on earth. And that was part of it, though. That was part of it. It was just kind of trying to create an environment, not just a workspace, but really an environment for this group to thrive. And you saw how we're thinking. We're literally taking people out of their jobs. You saw that gathering of people in the Idea Lab. We're taking them out of their job for a week and sometimes 2 weeks and say, sorry, just pretend this person's on vacation. This site development person, this marketing person, and this high technology systems development person, they're on vacation. We're pulling them out, and they're going to do nothing but focus on this new idea we're trying to solve for. And it's been just fantastically productive for us, using our own employees to really generate solutions. So I've talked about phases, and we sort of are in our beginning of our third. But the first phase was I became CEO in 2003, which is like a million years ago, it seems. And 2004, I became chairman and CEO. And that period up through 2008 was really the period for us to be thinking about what we're going to do, because business was stagnant. We were a pretty big company, but we didn't have any representation in the middle of the country. We were basically East Coast, West Coast, and we had a whole bunch of different brands, Riches in Atlanta, Bon Marché in Seattle, Burdines in Florida, Lazarus in Ohio, and Macy's. and Bloomingdale's. But we really were disparate. And so, when the opportunity came in 2005 to buy the May Company, that was really the idea of filling in the real estate for a national platform for the Macy's brand. That was really the thinking, that we could finally be a national player and we could finally advertise on the third most watched television program in America, which is the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And so it was just really about getting that started. But honestly, that wasn't the answer. We went from 200 Macy's stores to 400, which is converting our own, and then we went to 800 like in one day, on September of 2006 when we did this big, giant conversion of the stores. But honestly, that was great. That was a platform. That was not going to solve the fact that consumers were still not coming to department stores because they were getting eaten by all of the smaller or newer or different competition that was out there. So we had to do something very, very different, and that's when so just when we were thinking about what we were going to do different, the recession hits us in 2008 and 2009, which was actually a fantastic moment for us because at that point, the idea of taking a risk was a simple thing because we're watching business, decline and things were terrible and, things were happening to all retailers at that time in a very negative way. So, well, let's just bet the company, let's just try something really dramatic and really, really different. And that's when we made all of the changes and consolidations and moved all the 8 buying offices to 1 in New York City and brought all the merchants and marketers there and did the thing over there and da-da-da-da. And we made these major changes and created My Macy's and had all of these districts around the country with people that were moving to different places in 60 cities. They were helping us get local knowledge. So we had this big company that was now getting locally relevant information out there, and that's really got us started. That was phase 1. And then in phase 2, which was from the 2009 when we did all of that to 2014, this past year, we basically blew up the whole organization and went from all those different buying offices, like I said, to 60 districts, and it was in a huge investment in omnichannel technology, as I mentioned, along that way, and that's the numbers that you just seen in terms of the performance that's happened in the last 5 years. But now we're in phase 3, and phase 3 is you've had all this growth. But you're starting to see things a little more challenging, okay? People have figured this all out, and there's definitely more competition out there, right here in this audience, in fact. But that's okay, because that just makes us all better. That's really how we have to think about this. That just has to make us better. So what's the next S curve? And that's how we think about it. The S curve. For the bottom of the S is when you're making these investments and you're thinking about the vision for where you want to be. And then hopefully you got it right. And so the curve starts to go as we experienced in the last 5 years. And you start to benefit from those early investments in the first part of the S curve. But then the top of the S comes in, right? And because you're mature, you've had several years of comp store sales growth, you're going against your own numbers, and obviously unless you do something different, your numbers aren't going to change. So you have to continually figure out what's the next S curve that you layer underneath this one, the last one, to find growth. And that's where we are today. And we just announced a number of February, we announced a whole number of new ideas and new initiatives. And the first thing we did was my president, Jeff Gannett, who's a very talented guy. I took him out because he was the chief merchant and he was running all of our running all of our merchandising issues and things. He was also running Macys.com and he's also running marketing, which was great. But he just had too many people reporting to him. So we elevated a guy named Tim Baxter as our chief merchant, and I really pulled Jeff out of the weeds so he could really start becoming more strategic about the growth initiatives for Macy's in particular. And so that's what his job is. He is responsible now for Macy's and Macys.com, and thinking about this omni-channel organization structure. We also changed the entire organization around because we wanted a single view of the customer, a single view of the inventory, and that's how we had to be looking at things. And so Jeff has got all that responsibility. And Tony Spring has that basically the same role. He's the CEO of our Bloomingdale's division, and so he's got the same thing. And we reorganized the Bloomingdale's organization structure in the same way as we did Macy's for the single view of the customer and inventory as well. And that's all brand new and has just begun. But then we also did something very different, and that is I created a brand new job we'd never had in our company, and that's a guy named Peter Soxy, and Peter's been a big time key executive in our company. So this wasn't like taking a middle management person who's a high potential. This was taking one of the most senior people in our company and taking him out of his job, which was the head of all of our 775 stores in the company. And he'd already been a merchant before, he'd been in marketing before, he'd been in .com before. So he's a very seasoned executive. Pulled him out of his job and said, you are going to have a brand new job. Your job has never been done before in our company. You are now the Chief Innovation and New Business Development Officer for our company. And you're going to report to me. And you're going to do all the things that Jeff is not going to do, because we're not going to distract Jeff with all of this new stuff. You're going to do all the new stuff. You have the most fun job that you could ever imagine. He thought, you're selling me down the river here. What are you talking about? I don't have anybody reporting to me yet. What are you talking? I said, we'll figure that out. You'll get people to report to you. It's all right. And so he went from having 135,000 people reporting to him to have 3. And so he's scratching his head. Are you sure? Are you sure? I said, I'll shake your hand. You trust me on this. And so what he now is doing is he's got the off-price business. We've never been in the off-price business at Macy's, and I was the obstacle, because I said that, you know what, our Macy's price points are too close to the off-price world, so I don't think we need to be there. And my team convinced me that I should let the customer decide, which is what I try to do in every decision I make, instead of me deciding that. So long story short, they convinced me, and we're in. So Peter has now got an organization of 20 people. Every one of them has off-price experience from either TJX or Nordstrom Rack or Saks Outfit or wherever they're from, but they all have that experience, and that team now is running the off-price reporting into Peter. He also has international. For the last 10 years, I've been the chief international officer, and guess how many stores we've opened? 1 in Dubai. I'm not doing very good on that job. So I finally said, Peter, let's go. We need some international focus here. So he's got Tim Adams, who we pulled out of his job, who was just running the Macy's merchandising group, and he's only running international. It's his only job. So we've already announced we're opening 2 stores in Abu Dhabi, a Macy's and a Bloomingdale's. This guy is on a plane every week all over the world and doing different things. And so you will eventually hear more about international for Macy's and for Bloomingdale's, because we have people dedicated and focused on it. And then he's also in charge of the innovation team. You saw the Idea Lab. So that concept, which is basically in our San Francisco Macy's.com organization, is spreading to the entire organization, and there are Kent Anderson, who ran this innovation lab and ran Macy's.com for the last several years, is running that. And so he's going to be the one who's going to be helping us think about what's new, what's next, innovation-wise, technology-wise, that we should either acquire or add to our organization that's new and that's different to help us get more traction with the consumer. And then finally, the idea of acquisitions is alive and well. Haven't made an acquisition in 10 years after the giant May Company acquisition. Just bought the Bluemercury company, closed it last month. This is a very high-end beauty business, so specialty stores selling high-end cosmetics, high-end beauty, and it's a fantastic business. As I've said to people, Sephora, which is here today, is a great company. They have 1,640 stores last time I checked, and we have 62. So somewhere between 62 and 1,640, I think there's an opportunity for Bluemercury to grow in their existing way, as well as some potential for in-store installations in Macy's. So lots of things going on in terms of new business development, and that's, like I said, that's kind of the new S-curve that we're thinking about. Also want to mention, some new thinking that we've been doing, and that is this licensed businesses. And I've never been a fan of the European or the Japan model where department stores look like malls inside of a 4-box, because every space is leased out to a vendor, and the vendors, the same, their merchandise, their fixtures, their people, and it just almost looks like you're in the mall, but it's inside a department store. And there's no really accountability to the store. They're selling their brand, and if they can't sell you their brand, you got to go to the next person, because they're going to sell you their brand. As opposed to selling you Macy's or selling you Bloomingdale's and selling you the store. So I've never been a big fan of that idea for the whole store, or for 60 or 70%, like some of these stores have. But I'm first to admit that if somebody can do it better than we can, then let them in the door and let's figure out how to do it. And these two examples are incredibly good examples. I thought we were pretty good in sunglasses until we tried Sunglass Hut in our Florida stores. Now, you'd think we'd be able to sell sunglasses in Florida, right? That would be a pretty good observation on your part. Okay, well, and we did do okay. We brought these guys in, and they doubled our business in the first year, you know, because they're flying in inventory. They had all the brands. I couldn't get Prada. I couldn't get Gucci. I couldn't get Chanel sunglasses. I couldn't get them in a fixture. And by the way, they shouldn't have sold to us because we would not have presented it properly or sold it properly. When Sunglass Hut comes in with their space, their shop, and they've got all these high-end brands, and they got their professional staff, and they're flying in inventory every day. I mean, they just ran it so much better than we ever would have and could have run this business. And we doubled our business almost overnight. So we've rolled that out to the entire company now, and it's done extremely well. And then the other was Finish Line. We couldn't get arrested. I couldn't get the latest shoe. Mitchell Modelo got all the latest shoes. I never got them. And so you know, the new LeBron James shoe, I never got it. I went to Modell's. You know, and so I said, how do I get that done? And here again, somebody ran this business far better than I could, and that's Finish Line. They own the inventory, their presentation, their men and women are selling the product. We have all of the best shoes. Our business has tripled in the athletic footwear business since they've been running that business for us. And as importantly is my own apparel business, my Nike business, my Adidas business, my Puma business in sportswear, in apparel, has doubled. So that is what's key to me, is that a lot of times this young person, particularly, by the way, this is a major millennial business. And so many of these young people start their attire in athletic apparel with the shoes. And then they work up with the sweatpants, the shorts, the shirts, the jackets, and all of that. And that is what we're selling so incredibly well. So there's more of this. We did lids, you know, for sports apparel. They're doing amazing. I got more of these ideas coming on. Again, I'm not going to make the whole store this way, but in certain categories where there's an expert, invite them in. They're going to be part of our future. So I said stores are the new black. That's not actually my line. I copied it from this guy who you're about to hear from. His name is Scott Galloway. He is a professor of marketing at New York University and founder of L2 Think Tank. A brilliant guy. I hope you agree after you hear what he has to say.
We believe that pure play retail is going away, that e-commerce companies are either going to open stores or go out of business, and retailers need to be either excellent at digital or they will go out of business. I also believe that Amazon cannot survive as a pure play retailer. Stores are the new black in the world of e-commerce. We've discovered these incredibly flexible, robust warehouses called stores. So Rent the Runway, Warby Parker, and a variety of pure plays are now opening stores. The most impressive of which, Warby Parker, whose sales are second in the US per square foot, just behind Apple and just ahead of Tiffany. Retailers are not befuddled prey waiting around to get disrupted. They, in fact, are growing their e-commerce businesses. This is a list of retailers that are growing their e-commerce businesses faster than Amazon. You might think Amazon's the most innovative company in retail. Over the last 10 years, that might be true, but if you look at the last 5 years, it's been Macy's from a shareholder standpoint, and Amazon has had the lowest return of almost every major retailer in the US over the last year. We have revealed an Achilles heel of Amazon's heel, and that is their shipping costs are exploding 40% a year, and over the last 9 months, they've gone up more than 40%, which is not sustainable even for Amazon. Their shipping fees, or what they took in for shipping, was $3 billion, but they spent almost $7 billion on transportation costs. This is not sustainable. It's a race to the bottom. They forced everybody else to offer free shipping. 2/3 of Christmas packages were brought to you free. It used to be 1/3. That happened in just 12 months. The other big trend in retail is something pretty boring people don't talk about: click and collect, ordering online, picking up in store. It ends up that stores are fantastic and flexible warehouses. The retailer of the future is not Amazon, it's Macy's that has multi-channel retail.
I swear he's not related to me, and I've never met him. I've never actually met him, and now I don't want to meet him because I don't want to have this credibility questioned. But I had to share that because I agree with him. And this is not about Amazon. It's really about, I think, the things we're doing at Macy's. And I think Amazon is an amazing company. I have the highest respect for Jeff Bezos and their team. I just think that his point of being that's not how the consumer is going to shop anymore long term. I really believe that. I really believe that there's going to be stores involved in models like Amazon and models. You heard the Warby Parker reference, which I think is really a fantastic reference. Warby Parker is a fantastic eyeglass company, and their model was, I'll sell you great inexpensive eyeglasses just using the regular the models that you get in a drugstore at the counter, but I'm going to give you the coolest frames for these glasses, and you're going to just really look amazing, and they're going to look different. And you order one, they send you 5. And it's no problem because they count on you sending them back, and they give you free shipping both directions. And they've got that built into their price, but the good news is for them is the customers kept between 2 and 3 every single time. That's what they averaged, 2.5 glasses when they were actually, the customer thought they were ordering 1. And so customers started saying, this is great, except I'd like to come and see your product. Where's your showroom? I want to come to your showroom. I want to see more. They said, well, our showroom would be my kitchen because we're just starting this business, and we don't have a showroom. And so they said, okay, well, can we come to your kitchen? And so they came to the partner's kitchen at Warby Parker, and they showed them the line of their assortments. And these 2 young guys got so much feedback from consumers when they interacted with them face to face that they said, you know what, we need to open stores. We need this feedback. This is changing our assortment. This is changing the way we're thinking about what we're going to have next. And so they now open stores. They're rolling stores out. They thought for sure, they always envisioned their company would be only a pure play. They now are opening stores, and they got the second highest productivity, I think, in the shopping malls today after Apple. So there's more to this idea, I think, of omnichannel than some of the stuff I'm just talking about. I really do believe it's the future of retail. And he predicts, that the future is what he calls digital, which is, it's a mashup of the digital business combined with the physical store business. And again, I'm a passionate believer that that's where we are headed. And I've heard this for a long time. I've been in this business for a long enough time that everybody's going to kill us, and everybody's going to kill the department store, and everybody's going to take our share. And that's happened. I mean, we've had lots of that become reality. In fact, over these last 30 years. But today, I'll tell you, I feel better than ever about the combination that we have of addressing the consumer with the stores and with the online presence and with the talented people that we have within our organization. And I do think that all these changes that I mentioned are going to continue at an even faster clip as we look forward. And so we're not slowing down. We're not stopping. The customer's changing, and our company will do the same. Thanks for listening. I have a couple minutes for questions. I don't have a time clock, so I'm not really sure where we are. 15? Okay, so we have time for questions. I think we've got the fabulous U of A students with microphones here. So please, if you raise your hand, we'll get a microphone to you, and we'll take any questions that anybody might have. And I can't really see very well, so I'm going to count on my Arizona runners here.
Good morning, and thank you for an excellent presentation and an excellent conference so
Thank
far.
You.
Get started.
We're just getting started here, so
yeah.
It'll get better.
I was wondering if you could kind of share on 3 thoughts. You kind of alluded to one of them, but you didn't spend enough time on it, which is who owns the customer, and how are you thinking the lifetime value of a customer going forward? And the second question I had is, since the financial crisis, the consumer has been very, very focused on value, not necessarily low prices, but value as reflected in Costco being to 5 to 6 comps every month. And so is that a permanent state, or is that an evolving state? And then the last question I had is, I wish you could talk a little bit about the erosion of pricing power in your industry and brand power as reflected in the weak CPI numbers for your categories outside of shoes. And that's probably due to online price transparency, online promotions, price matching, fast fashion, off price, et cetera. Thank you.
I've only had 1 cup of coffee. So I hope I can remember all of that. But I'll start. I'll start with I'll start with who owns the consumer, because I think it's a very good question, and I think that's a moving target today. You saw one of the things we've just engaged with is Apple Pay. I think we were one of the very first retailers to engage with them, and my belief, and here's the deal with that. The negative of that is that they have the customer data. And so I, need that data, because if I'm going to be relevant to consumers, I have to know what they want, and to know what they want, I have to know what they've done in the past. So to me, that owning the customer data is really, really important, and we will work this out with Apple long term, because they didn't have the technology to actually make that happen, but over time we will. That's my belief, or I wouldn't have done that. But the reason why I wanted to go to Apple Pay, because I just see, I go to Starbucks most mornings, and I watch, along with myself, 2/3 of us, it feels like, I don't know what the actual number is, that Annie Young Scrivener's here, she probably knows, but I'm sure she does, since she was their chief global officer for several years, and now she's the CEO of Teavana. But I pay with my phone, and I do it because it's convenient, it's easy, and I love the app. And so they capture all of this information. They know exactly what I drink. They know exactly what days I go. They know what time in the morning I'm there. And I find out from them where's the nearest store when I'm in Shanghai. And so this is really important information to me, because they know me. And I think that's the same thing's true for what we're trying to do at Macy's and Bloomingdale's, is we want to know the customer. The only way to know the customer is to capture the data. So I want to own that customer. To your first question, I want to own that customer, but it's a moving target, and we all have to be conscious of that. Half of my business is transacted on either the Macy's credit card or the Bloomingdale's card, with an Amex as our co-party. What was your second question? See? Value, okay. So I do think, I used to be the CEO of Neiman Marcus, and that was not, something that we spent a tremendous amount of time on, other than the fact that value has a different definition. And for a Neiman Marcus business, people have to just feel like I'm going to wear this Chanel jacket on multiple occasions. And so if I divide the number of occasions times the cost of this expensive jacket, well, maybe there is indeed a value to that. I really do think that's how a lot of our customers felt. Or I could get this new, or I could get this different. And I can have it because it's at such a price point. It's not going to be everywhere, so therefore that makes me unique. I think that's the value to that consumer. And at Macy's, it's very different, and we've tried different things. When we acquired the May Company, Macy's was actually much less promotional than the May Company when we acquired them. And I said, this is fantastic. Let's just go to the Macy's calendar with the May Company stores. That's brilliant. I love this idea. That lasted 6 months. I never lost so much business so fast because the consumer is so smart and so savvy and knew exactly what she once had and what she was now had as when she was part of Macy's. And I got crushed. Our company got killed. I said, okay, that was a bad idea. Let's go back and rethink this strategy. And so the consumer knows value, and they define it differently, but I think that's going to be always part of the equation. You cannot fool a customer. And then finally, I think your question was, then how do you live in that world, and how do you differentiate your offering? And in our case, about 46% of what we sold last year at Macy's was either uniquely exclusive to Macy's, because about $5 billion of that is our own private brand that we create for ourselves. But we have Tommy Hilfiger exclusively, we have Kipling exclusively, we have a number of brands that we now have exclusively, and we have many other brands that we share with just 1 or 2 points of distribution in a local environment. And that's how you do it, because I think if everybody has the exact same product everywhere, and it's online, and it's in the stores, there's always going to be someone who's going to have a lower price. There's always going to be somebody who's going to say, I'm going to have a lower price today at this moment, and the consumers will gravitate to that. If they know that brand, if that's their bra, they've had that same bra for the last 5 years, and they're going to order it again, there's no need to go anywhere if they can find it cheaper somewhere else. They're just going to push a button, and because they know what it is. Okay, and so that is just a slow death. I just think. It's just a gradual and slow death. Because there's always going to be somebody that's going to undercut and have that price. Now, that company may not stay in business for a long time, but in the meantime, they're taking away your market share as long as they're there. When they go out of business, somebody else will come in, and then they'll try that idea. So that's why I think product differentiation is the way to make your offering sustainable. And I'm at 46%. I'm going to get to 56%. I mean, it's a really critical step. By the way, exclusive product that doesn't sell is the worst thing you can possibly have. So I want to make that distinction. It has to be stuff that customers actually want. Next question, over here. And please tell us who you are and your company.
Hi, Terry. Paul Rosengard.
Oh, I know you.
Boston Traders. Thrilled to be back. I hope to elevate and become a sponsor next year. Congratulations.
Thank you, Paul.
Congratulations on your bold new structure. You certainly have an impressive team of senior leaders. Peter Soxy, chief among them, who's your new head of innovation. He's got a great track record of success, so I'd certainly bet on him. When you look around the globe, what are the top 3 regions that you think offer the most potential for international expansion?
Well, I'm not here to make an announcement, Paul, about where we're going. But, you know, it's been written about that, that I've been to you know, certain parts of the world. So just Google it. No, I really don't want to. I really don't want to get into it, only because I don't want to create any false hopes. And you know, one thing I will tell you is that is that, you know, to move the needle for Macy's is you can't open one store here and one store there. It's just not going to work. It's not going to add up to anything. On the other hand, you can do that for Bloomingdale's. You know, with 37 stores of Bloomingdale's, I actually can do that. So the 2 companies may end up having different strategies. Next question. And I'm probably going to get low on time here, right? Last question. I'll let you guys pick whoever our runners are, whoever. You can see hands waving. Okay, I can see someone over here. Go ahead.
Good morning, Terry. I'm Margaret Eichmann, your DVP here in Arizona,
Yeah.
Macy's.
Where are you? I can't see you.
I'm right here.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
Hi, this is the Arizona group
Yeah.
here to see you today. I have a question for you. We are getting ready to launch the Plenty program in our stores. What do you see as the far-reaching implications of this program as we move forward?
You know, okay, I'll tell you about Plenty. And actually, this is interesting to me, Margaret, because I heard about this from the students yesterday in my meeting. They asked me this question. I was really surprised that they had done so much research that they already understood what Plenty was about. But I'll just tell everybody, Plenty is an American Express concept, and what they've done is they've taken a group of retailers from different categories and put them together into this pool. And what you will do is you'll have a Plenty card that will work at Macy's, will work at Rite Aid, that will work at Exxon, that will work at AT&T, and other retailers. And you'll be able to accumulate points, if you will, at all of these retailers, and then redeem those points at any one of those participating retailers. So it's different than just buy it at Bloomingdale's, redeem at Bloomingdale's. It's a different idea. And I love the idea, because I do think that a great loyalty program is really important for long-term engagement with your consumers. And I think, frankly, the idea of just giving a customer a discount because they shopped with you as a loyalty, you know, everybody does it. There's nothing unique about that anymore. So to me, this idea I love, and what I certainly hope happens is that, you know, every time they fill up their gas tank at Exxon, or they get their AT&T bill and they pay it with their Plenty, or they shop at Rite Aid for their pharmacies, that they think, okay, now how do I want to reward myself? Do I want to reward myself with a new tank of gas or a new sweater from Macy's? You know? So that's what I'm counting on. That's what I'm counting on. So thank you all very much for your questions, your comments, your engagement. Thank you.